Hey, this is an honest review of the AOVOPRO ESBS-PRO 500 watt 14-inch scooter. I've had it for about a week now, and I have to tell you, all things being equal, I love this scooter. I didn't know what to expect. I did a bunch of research in advance, but I was very trepidatious until it actually came in the door, and I got to put it together and ride it. I will go through as much as I can about it to hopefully help you decide what you want to buy. I don't work for AOVOPRO. This is an honest, independent review. So let's start with the basics. It's 62 pounds. It has a rear disc brake and a 500 watt motor, which is mounted inside the rear wheel. It has pneumatic tires, which help with the ride, a front headlight, a rear brake light and tail light. The brake light actually works when you squeeze the brake handle, and it has directional signals on the back as well. It's touted in some places as having rear suspension. Well, they call it dual suspension, meaning it should be front and rear suspension. It is not really. What it is there's suspension in the front fork, and the seat post actually is shock absorbed, so that's your rear suspension. The hand controls are as follows. On the right hand, you have the accelerator, which is not a twist throttle, it is a thumb lever. You also have a power on and off switch, and that switch doubles as a way for you to change the 3 driving modes, which are economy, regular, and sport. I use sport pretty much all the time, unless I'm riding with my 8-year-old and I want him to be able to keep up with me. I get a top speed of 22 miles per hour. On the left hand is the horn, which is pretty loud, the headlight, and the directional signals. Now, I will say one of my beefs with it is that you can't tell that you left your signal on because the signals are only in the rear. It doesn't flash on the handlebars. It doesn't beep or click when the signal's on. So you put your signal on and forget you turned it on, and you're driving around for 5 minutes with your signal on. One of those, you end up being one of those people. I chose not to keep the basket on it. I tried it with the basket on. The basket is hefty. It's pretty heavy metal. And I liked the way it looked without it, and I don't really have much of a reason to use a basket. I bring a backpack with me if I need it. The fenders are lightweight plastic. Their mounts, the front fender mount is a little bit wobbly, as you can see. And that may very well be because if they made it firm, it might just snap off. Again, this is a pretty firm ride. If you're used to a bicycle ride, this is going to be a hard ride for you. But once you get used to it, it's a great ride. The deck where you put your feet is covered with a pretty durable pleather material. The seat is very comfortable. This thing is pretty speedy. Like I said, I got a top speed of 22 miles an hour, but I live in an area where there's a bunch of flats and there's also some hills, and I was initially concerned there's no way it's going to make it up the hills. It made it up every hill. I think the slowest it slowed down to was between 11 and 12 miles an hour, but it made it up every hill flawlessly. And I weigh between 225 and 230, so I'm not a lightweight person. Now, I'll go into a couple of details here and give you a couple of tips and tricks as well. First of all, here's the accessories it came with. So the kit came with bicycle pump, full set of tools, phone holder, a bicycle combination lock, a strap for the basket, that's the basket, and a manual. Now, I will say the phone mount that they provided, I would not use it because of the firm ride on this. I wanted something that is absolutely going to hold my phone regardless of how hard the bumps are I hit. And the phone mount they give you is only sides and bottom. It does not clamp to the top of the phone. So I could totally foresee a phone flying out of this if you hit bumps hard enough. So I opted to buy a separate mount for the phone, which I could also turn to be landscape instead of portrait, and I'll explain why in a minute. The cable that brings all of the controls down into the body of the scooter kind of hangs out flopping in the air when you get it. So I opted for a couple of Velcro straps to strap the cable to the handlebar post. It's much, much neater. A couple of things that I've seen folks in comment sections say that hopefully this will be helpful to you. First of all, when you get it, the front wheel is not mounted, the handlebars are folded down, and the seat is not mounted. Now, people said, hey, there's nothing in the instructions about how to put the front wheel on, and they're absolutely right. However, putting the front wheel on is actually not a huge deal. When you open your package, you will find a small threaded post and 2 nuts, 2 flat washers with little ears on them, and 2 straight washers that are a little bit thicker. It mounts just the way a front bicycle wheel would. The threaded post goes through the center. The 2 regular washers, the thick washers, go on the inside of the fork. Then on the outside of the fork, the 2 flat washers with the ears mount and lock the wheel in with little tabs, so this way your front wheel doesn't come off while you're riding, which I think is a pretty good thing. I've also seen folks say that they cannot keep the seat up. When they adjust the seat for height, the seat just ends up popping down, and that initially happened to me too. And at first I just wrote it. I said, okay, well, if that's what it's going to be, that's what it's going to be. Here's what I discovered. If you're familiar with the way a regular bike seat is held in place, the bike seat post goes into the body of the bike, and this little seam that closes up when you close the lever, that seam closes up and grabs onto the seat post. Well, that little seam has to be pre-primed, for lack of a better term. So what you have to do is, before you put the seat post on the scooter, tighten up the little lever as much as you can and close it so it really squeezes that seam. Let it sit there for 30 seconds or 45 seconds. Then open the lever and tighten it again. Then close the lever so it squeezes that seam more. Do that 3 times. Once you've done that and you open it up, you're going to find it's a little challenge to fit the plastic sleeve and the seat post down in it, but it will, once you do that, it will latch firmly at any height that you put it at. I've tested this now. Like I said, I weigh between 225 and 230, and my seat is not moving. And trust me when I tell you it's worth the extra work to do it, because it changes the ride entirely when you get yourself properly seated height-wise. Now, a separate addendum here about the app that you can use with this scooter. I love the app, but I have a couple of bones to pick with it. First of all, the app is very full-featured. It can show you a map. It gives you a full dashboard that shows you what gear you're in, the accumulated miles on the scooter, how many miles you've gone in this trip, what gear you're in, the temperature of the ECU, the temperature of the motor. I mean, it gives you a bunch of stuff. It's pretty neat. Now, here's the problem. When you first connect the app to the scooter, you have to be somewhere where there's Wi-Fi, because as best I can tell, the app checks in over the web. And if you don't have an internet connection, it will not go through the process of opening up the app and then connecting via Bluetooth to the scooter. The app actually communicates via Bluetooth with the scooter, but you need Wi-Fi to do that initial boot up and connection. And you have to do that every time you start the app. And I tested this. I have an old phone that I wanted to use as a regular dashboard. So I took the phone, I took the scooter, I went out to the beach, away from my Wi-Fi connection, and I opened up the app. I had the scooter already turned on. I opened up the app. The app would not even go through its initial process of connecting via Bluetooth to the scooter. I had to be somewhere where there was Wi-Fi. Once you've done that, you won't have to do it again until you restart the phone or like that. Now, the other issue that I have with the app is that when you turn the scooter off and when you push the power button on the side of your phone and put it to sleep, when you turn the scooter back on, and you go to open the app again, it doesn't connect to the scooter. You have to go through and manually quit the app 2 or 3 times. It's hit or miss until it finally connects. When it connects, it's great. You can even shift gears with it if you want to. It's easier just to use the button on the handlebars. Anyway, the app is pretty cool, but just be forewarned, it's got its issues. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this a 9.5. It's a great scooter. It's a lot of fun. It feels sturdy. It doesn't feel flimsy at all. It's really well constructed. It came very well packed. I love it, and I highly recommend it. And, 6 months from now, I'll give you another review and let you know how it went in the long run. But my initial impressions are, this is a great scooter, and for under $350, it was a steal, and I'm awfully glad that I got it. I hope this review was helpful. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer them. But that's my review of the AOVOPRO. Go grab yourself one. You'll have a blast. Thanks for watching.